Good night, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining tonight's leadership session, Module 5, being facilitated by Mrs. Paulette Coley of Jamaica. Mrs. Coley, can you please introduce yourself and start the presentation kindly?
Okay. Good night, everyone. Good night.
Yes, we can hear you. Good night.
All right. Okay, fine. My name is Paulette Coley from Jamaica. I am a restorative justice facilitator here in Jamaica, and I'm also a justice of the peace. Tonight, I am privileged to be facilitating tonight's module, relationship management. And I'm hoping that we will have a very interactive session tonight. I'm hoping that we will learn something new and exciting while going through the slides tonight. And also that when we should have finished tonight's presentation, we will be empowered to go back into our different organizations and be very impactful. Because what we realize, and we are noticing these days, that we can hardly find persons to really lead organizations the way that they're supposed to be led for longevity and or for sustainability. And so these sessions are very vital. We can learn little things here and there as we go along to help us to manage our organizations more productively for the benefits of all. And so I'm anticipating a good session from us tonight. If somebody want to interject at any point, then you are welcome to do so. But I will go through the slides timely. I'll be asking Nadine to do the screen sharing for me, as I am not so much savvy with the computer system to manipulate it all by myself. And so I'll be seeking the assistance from her tonight going forward. And so we'll be looking on the screen. We have relationship management. We'll be looking at what relationship management is. We'll be looking at 5 components. What is management? What is relationship management? Who makes good relationship managers, and why is relationship management important? So what are some of the differences or different levels of relationship management? All right. And so for an example of a relationship management as it relates to a fisher folks organization is the marketing of fish for fishers. The business and services provided is the link that could have started in the relationship when the fisherman just started to do his business. Would be the one tasked to ensure that everyone is happy and satisfied with that relationship. You also have the relationship between organizations. For example, your fisher folk organization have to partner with other organizations to implement a project, or usually partners with other organizations to implement projects as well. A relationship manager can fulfill the role of managing those connections to ensure that both organizations are pleased with each other's contribution and are satisfied with the objectives that the project hopes to implement. All right. Just give me 1 second. Management is how business organize and direct workflow, in other words. Operations and workers volunteers to meet the organization's goal. So the primary goal of management is to create an environment that empowers its employers to work efficiently and productively. Relationship management, on the other hand. Nadine, go to relation. You do the first slide already? Are we still at why is
what is management?
What is management? That's where we are now?
Yes, you want to go why is relationship management important?
No, I just want to finish that before I go to that. All right. So relationship management is a strategy used in organizations to build healthy and strong bonds with its customers so as to drive growth and productive customer satisfaction. From the organization's point of view, this relationship involves direct interactions with customers, such as sales and services, related processes, forecasting trends and behaviors, which ultimately serves to enhance the customer's overall experience. So we move on to why is relationship management important, Nadine? The obvious answer to this question is that relationship management builds and strengthens new and existing relationships, right? Both with customers and business partners, which help to increase brand loyalty and greater efficiencies. It also helps to improve the organization's reputation, which will in turn attract new customers, vendors, and suppliers to your line of business, which in this case would be your fishing business. What relationship management also do, it mitigate against risk by building an even closer relationship with your vendors. You are securing the protection of your brand loyalty, which can also boost your profitability because your loyal customers can always depend on you for timely goods and services. Relationship management structure is critical in Fisher Force organizations because what it does is clearly outline its goal strategy and develop a tool to track its progress in order to provide honest feedback to its customers. Also, training and succession planning in FFO is critical for growth and development to take place between organizations. Next slide. Next slide, Nadine.
Different levels of relationship management.
We are at different levels. Just give me 1 second. Just give me 1 second. My computer is doing a lot of things. Wow. Just give me 1 minute. Did you put that on the screen, Nadine? I'm not. Why is relationship management important? All right, let me see. I'm not seeing different levels right now.
Okay, who makes good relation?
Okay, yes, okay, I'm at it now. All right, I did leave out one. What good governance does, it helps your organization to operate efficiently. It gives you more access to resources like capital or money, and it mitigates risk and safeguard against mismanagement. So we are at different levels of relationship management. So you have the internal management structure, which fosters cooperation and accountability. It also provides reassurance to your stakeholders externally, and it boosts the image of your organization. You also have the community level, where you build community engagement with other stakeholders to achieve sustainable dialogue and discourse, so that all parties feel respected, empowered, and informed. Truth be told, we are not only responsible for managing our local organization, we also have a responsibility to build relationships outside. It is equally true that trying to reach each of these partners are very problematic and stressful at times. The varying needs and challenges make it very important. The industry does not matter. The challenges are real. Some of these challenges are within our control, but most are out of our control. And that is why external stakeholders have so much impact on the outcome of our projects, because we rely on them to assist with funding these projects in local FFOs. So we are a partnership. Therefore, for global suppliers it's important to understand the cultural nuances, be able to establish clear communication channels, and being able to adapt to the different time zones. With local suppliers, face-to-face meetings and quick response time can strengthen the relationship with your suppliers. So in essence, a mix of both local and global partnerships can minimize the supply chain efficiently. We also have donors and funder organizations. So why is relationship management important? The obvious answer to this question is that relationship management builds and strengthens new and existing relationships, both with customers and business partners, which help to increase brand loyalty and greater efficiencies. It improves the organization's reputation, which will in turn attract new customers, vendors, and suppliers to your line of business, which in this case would be your fishing business. It mitigates against risks by building an even closer relationship with your vendors. You are securing the protection of your brand loyalty, which can and will boost your profitability because your loyal customers can always depend on you for timely goods and services. Relationships management structure is critical for FFOs because what it does, it clearly outlines its goal strategy and develop a tool to track its progress in order to provide honest feedback to its customers. Also, training and succession planning in FFO is critical for growth and development to take place between organizations. Fisher-folk organizations rely heavily on donations to address some of the challenges in the industry. The truth is most of these organizations cannot afford to give back to the fishers based on the minimal resources available. And the vast amount of fishers, therefore, in order to respond to some of these fisher-folk needs, management rely heavily on donations, which I will say most times benefit only a few. Most of these funds are given through grants, money that are not required to be repaid. In the fishing organization, it can translate into mesh wires, it can translate into nets, gasoline, etc. So we are at good relationship managers must have. Some traits that good relationship managers need to have. There are some skills that are very critical in organizations that we all have to use for us to be effective in the trade that we do. Skills to be able to navigate all kinds of environment in order to continuously build relationships, handle interpersonal interactions, great coping strategies to manage under pressure, conflicts, whether seen or perceived. The truth is, when we are made aware, we are better able to manage self and then work on building back the relationship that has broken down. And so we also need to have a modern outlook. We must be organized in what we are doing. Managing and maintaining ongoing level of engagement with your customer, your supplier, which will drive value, evolve culture, and build even better relationships. There must be trust and understanding, and there must be fairness. When there's trust, did somebody say something? Did somebody just say something? Nadine?
You can continue, Miss P. Thank you.
Okay. All right, good. When there's trust and fairness in organizations, it creates a balance and equality, which in turn fosters better harmonious working relationships and successful collaborations. When you understand your customers' needs, their preferences and behaviors, you are better able to cater and provide timely support, which fosters customer loyalty. If your fisher folk organization is going to strive it must do so with a balanced approach for everyone's benefit. Everyone deserves equal opportunities to share. Being balanced and fair minimizes conflicts. And we must be respectful. We cannot stress that enough. We have to use respect in whatever endeavor we are doing. It enhances communication. So why is relationship management important? The obvious answer to this question is that relationship management builds and strengthens new and existing relationships, both with customers and business partners, which help to increase brand loyalty and greater efficiencies. It improves the organization's reputation, which will in turn attract new customers, vendors, and suppliers to your line of business, which in this case would be your fishing business. It mitigates the risk by building an even closer relationship with your vendors. You are securing the protection of your brand loyalty, and you can and will boost your profitability because your loyal customers can always depend on you for timely goods and services. Relationship management structure in FFO is critical because what it does, it clearly outlines a goal strategy and develop a tool to track its progress in order to provide honest feedback to its customers. Also, training and succession planning in FFO is critical for growth and development to take place between organizations. When partners respect each other, they are more likely to listen. This is reflected in how we treat people on a daily basis. Even if you disagree or have an argument, and arguments do happen even in healthy relationships, you are still able to respect and value each other's opinion and feelings by not fighting but fighting fear. It also builds trust. This is the lifeblood at the heart of any form of relationship that you are going to forge, whether it be in your organization or your personal lives. If I am not able to trust you, then logically, you are not going to get my full cooperation in anything. You must be available. This is one that is so lacking in fisherfolk organizations. A good relationship manager must be available, ready to lead all areas of the organization, whether it be analyzing, planning, measuring, improving all areas of its services. He is to ensure that everything is in place to deliver extraordinary services to his or her customers. There's also what is called emotional intelligence. So here we have some requirements that are needed for emotional intelligence. You must be self-aware, self-awareness, conscious knowledge of one's own character, feelings and emotions and motives. It allows you to see you, to reflect on you in an effort to identify one's thoughts, behaviors, and emotions in order to understand your strengths and your weaknesses and how other people around you sees you. You also have to have self-regulation, being able to manage these behaviors and emotions happening around you. And at the same time, after all the excitement and frustration, you are still able to calm down and focus on the task at hand. A good leader must be a motivator. If you're a fisherfolk organization, in your fisherfolk organization, it is the engine that propels you to perform to the best of your ability in order to achieve the goals set by your organization. Self-motivation forces you to work harder, which is healthy, as it also allows you to lose some extra pounds and it saves you money going to the gym also. Empathy. You must have this trait as a leader as well. A social skill that everyone should at least try to exercise. You must be able to see things from another viewpoint, like putting yourself in the other person's place. getting the same experience, which will cause you to now act with compassion and forces you to now want to help in order to improve the before situation. Social skills are generally used every single day. It's how you interact and communicate, whether verbally or non-verbally. Examples: speaking, making gestures, facial expressions, and body language. These skills are necessary because they can help you to efficiently and effectively communicate, and as a result, help you build, maintain, and improve your relationship with your colleagues, your clients, and your new contacts. These are necessary skills that are important to maintain and improve, irrespective of the position you hold, the industry you are in, or your level of experience. Relationship management in action. Relationships are built on trust. If person do not trust you, then they will not want to do business with you. And so when they trust you, you are building their confidence. When they trust you, that you are honest and you are truthful and you are reliable, then they will also want to do business with you. So you have to create that trust level in the organization for people to want to buy into what you are selling. You have to be fair and understanding. You have to be able to support decisions based on appropriate factors. It must be the truth. On cultures and norms, persons have different cultures, persons have different way that they operate, and persons hold different positions as it relates to certain things. And so we have to respect all of these things when we are operating an organization. We have to have empathy without compromise. We have to be able to understand the feelings and emotions of other people and treat it as if it was you in the situation. So if it is that I am having a bad day and I'm expressing myself, it's not for somebody to try to tear me down, but put yourself in my position, put yourself in the situation, and then you'll be better able to appreciate how the other person is feeling, and you will try to, to be empathic towards that person. There must be equity in organizations as well. You must be fair and you must be impartial as a leader leading an organization. You must be respectful. You must respect other person's own values and operating norms. Not everybody think the same way. Not everybody do things the same way. My thoughts and your thoughts might not necessarily be the same. We are from different countries, different time zones, different culture. We speak differently. But then you still have to respect everybody for who they are. So you respect persons' values and their operating norms. You respect me, I respect you, and respect you to everybody. That is where it is at this point. So we have to emphasize that respect throughout organization is very, very critical. Values and operating norms of others, we have to respect that as well. Don't allow persons to impose their norms on you. So while you are respecting other person's norms, you're still not allowing them to impose their norms on you. All things being equal, you don't do it to other persons either. Every one of us hold different ideas and varying views that must be respected. We must be available as leaders. Running Fisher Folk organizations, you can't be missing in action at all times. If there's a critical issue to be dealt with, you cannot be found. No, that's not a trait of a good leader. You must be available. Leaders must make themselves available. If at all you assume the portfolio, strive to lead by example. You must be there for collaboration. Great leaders are always ready to engage and dialogue with other groupings to share ideas and best practices. These are ways to keep your FFO on the cutting edge of an ever-changing global economy. Leaders must keep themselves in the know. They must be there for assistance as well. Be ready and willing to offer assistance in any way possible. And remember, each one, teach one. reach one. Attention to relationship management. There are some red flags that we need to look out for, because in organization you find from time to time persons, you know, that some people try to influence persons to do things their way to get a different outcome from what was the original plan. And so we try to avoid co-optation. One entity leads the other, resulting in loss of vision or mission. One entity is sidetracked from its objective. Always remain focused on the goals set by your organization. Make that be at the forefront of your deliberations at all times, respecting the goals and the vision and the mission that the organization is built on. Don't allow the notion of things looking greener on the other side to distract you and you about your mission and your vision. Because there are so many times when persons bring some attractive offers to us, and we run with the idea and forget our own goals, our own mission that we have for our organization that we are placed in charge of. You forget the small wins in the organization that you are a part of. So you must always try to promote and defend your organizational integrity. Affirm your cultures. Stand for what you believe in. Your norms and your values, stand for them. Stand flat-footed. You don't want to exchange them for somebody else's norms. Those are the things that you believe in, and you hold them close to you, and you try and defend them as much as possible for in the interest of the organization that you are leading. Endeavor to defend and promote the integrity of your organization, bearing in mind whether it succeed or lose, you play the part irrespective of how small your impact. Affirm your own organizational norms and values. That's your business. Don't impose them on others. And all things being equal, others don't do it to you either. Everyone possesses their own unique traits that are special to them. So don't impose your values on other persons, neither you don't allow them to do that to you neither. And you always strive to build your reputation, allow for others to identify values in your relationship. Your organization's reputation must be able to stand scrutiny at the end of the day. Always seek new and innovative ways to build out your model in the global age and the changing times. Let people always wanting to copy your model organization, one that is built on firm values and healthy relationships. And I think we are at the end of the presentation. A great relationship is about two things. First, appreciating the similarities, and second, respecting the differences. That's the end of my presentation. Nadine?
Thank you very much, Mrs. Coley. We have two questions that you will see on your screen. And we will start the discussions with these poll questions.
So who I'm supposed to answer these two questions?
All participants on the call.
Oh, everybody.
Please
Okay.
answer if you can. Two questions on your screen. Question one, have you ever had a time
when you had to deal with a difficult partner? And the other question is, have you ever created or imposed a good relation within your organization? Those are the two questions.
We have 13 persons present to answer, and 3 answered already. Come on, at least if we get 6, and then we close the poll. We'll try to close it within 2 minutes. We are at 1 minute and 18 seconds. So the question number 1, if you're seeing it, have you ever had a time when you had to deal with a difficult partner? Yes or no?
I'm I'm trying to click on it, but it's not moving.
Maybe because you're
Okay,
co-host.
okay.
Maybe I
So
can't
we
do
have
it.
4 persons. I heard 4 persons answering yes, 3 persons answering yes to the second question as well. So
Okay, very good. So you can participate if you're seeing the results.
anybody else want ever encountered any of these 2 questions that have been asked on the poll?
And I think if you're on a phone, you have to slide to the next page. Maybe you have to slide to question number 2.
Persons are responding. 5 persons say yes to the question 1. 4 says yes to question number 2.
Okay, we're going to end the poll now. Thank you for participating, and now it's time for open discussion. So maybe somebody that said they had a difficult partner and a difficult time with relationship management. If it's something that you can discuss and explain, maybe you can use this opportunity to share your experience with us now.
Right.
And how did you maneuver in that situation?
Okay, Nadine, I think I will go first, right? I was just making a cup of coffee there because I'm still in Jamaica. Okay, well, it's funny how the world works, to be honest. Yeah? And I say this because today at the conference, I really learned something. But even when I was on the NFO, I was leading the NFO in St. Lucia. I was not even then, but even before that, we were tasked with the responsibility of retrieving some equipment from one of, I would say one of, but I think he was the leading person in coming up with a solution to that gas and seaweed problem or issue. And the former president of the St. Lucia Fishermen Organization, along with the admin assistant, because it was a 2-man show before I actually came in, they actually got a grant for this guy to start up. And, everything went smoothly. The funding came from the Global Economic Fund. I think that is Jeff, if my memory serves me right. And this guy started production, making compost out of seaweed. So I cannot remember what exactly went wrong at that time. But Fisher Folk at the time had requested the equipment back because they were the ones that got the funding. The funding came under their name. They handed the equipment down to the gentleman, and he was, starting to become swelled. I think he wasn't paying his commitments. I think he wasn't meeting the commitments, right? So Fisher Folk had intervened, and then they had asked, what's the hold up? Because people they start well and then they just stop after a time. So he wasn't meeting the commitments, but Fisher Folk St. Lucia had request that he return the equipment, and that's when the battle started because he actually got his legal team involved. And I have not heard anything since. And to my surprise today, one of the women that was on the panel, I think she's a Jamaican. She said she had met this guy in Barbados this week. Well, the weekend gone. And to her surprise, his idea and the company was sold for $50 million. $50 million. And Senusha, the Senusha Fish Folk organization cannot get the equipment. He doesn't respond to any calls, any messages, any emails. So I don't even know what's going on with them. But the gentleman in question has sold the company for $50 million. I don't know if it's US, I don't know if it's EC, I don't know if it's Belgian, but it was sold for $50 million.
And so I see how important it is to safeguard the organizations that you lead for the benefit of the stakeholders. Because a situation like this, there's no trust in this organization now, because what happened is that you are supposed to get your goods and it is not there, and the company is sold. There was no form of conversation
No.
or
I think
notice given or anything like that.
I think there was a legal binding, but I'm not too sure because I wasn't the one who actually it was done before I actually came into the NFO. But when I came into the NFO, it was on the agenda that they actually got the funding for this guy to start up the business because he had a brilliant idea, you know, young persons and them kind of things. But he's not an honest person.
Wow.
And I see, and he is just one of many. I see a lot of people, they target especially the fisheries division, and they come with these brilliant ideas, selling these brilliant ideas just to push their own agendas.
Right. And that's why it is important for you have to be, as a leader, you have to be sensitive to these things, because I mean, on the face of it, the way how they come across, it make it sound as if it is something good to do. And then when you are in the middle of it, you realize that you know, it wasn't really what it looked like when it was initially put forward to you. So you have to be cognizant of the fact and be sensitive to these things as a leader, to know, well, you know, test the water to find out, get more information. Information cannot be too much. You're not so sure. You want to get all the facts before you really buy into something, because sometimes the grass look green over there, not necessarily mean that it is a good option.
Yeah, but not to cut you short, I believe you're forgetting that we're in the Caribbean, and it happens back home. It happens in St. Lucia, because I was just explaining this earlier to some of the colleagues that I had met at the conference. Whenever you speaking, or I would say pro-government or anti-government, you've been labeled, and then that's when the victimization kicks in.
Right.
So a lot of people, they can speak, they can make a contribution, but they are fearful for being victimized.
And it's interesting, you know, it's interesting to note that right across the board, the issues are the same in every Caribbean country that I have interacted with. The issues are the same. They are similar. Government manipulates a lot of the things that have to do with fishing. And so you who are down at the end of the ladder down there, you are the most disenfranchised person. That's what I was saying to somebody the other day. Listen, it is all well and good for persons to sit up in their high offices and they make laws and they craft rules and they come with strategies and they come with everything. But until you have the ordinary command at the table helping to make these decisions, it's going nowhere, because at the end of the day, they are the ones that are most disenfranchised. They are the ones that suffer the most. Because the man who have the money, him not have no issues, you know. Him don't really have no issues. And so we have to be cognizant of the fact.
How he wants, yes.
Hello?
Yeah, I listen to you.
Yes, we have to be so sensitive to these things because government will come with all kind of things. On the face of it, how them present it, you think it is gospel. But when you when you buy into it and you're in the middle of it, that's where you realize that you just made the biggest mistake of your life because they manipulate almost everything, especially in the fishing industry. The fishermen have little or no say in how things are being done in the industry. Anybody else want to share? Are we still here?
We're still here, Paulette. Don't worry. We're with you. We're not leaving you alone.
Anybody else want to share anything?
I guess some people are just reserved and or maybe just don't have anything to say.
Oh.
Okay,
All right.
I'll let you guys think about this, and this is a very serious issue. And I mean, reasons like what I'm going to speak about now are why the CNFO is purpose to sort of build the capacity of the leadership of the NFO. At this time, in this season, the integrity of the NFOs is being questioned big time across the board. Whenever I attend any meeting, this is a problem. And therefore, I would really love the leadership here to take this particular series of leadership training very seriously. Because without integrity and without organizational capacity, you will be disregarded at the national level. And it therefore results in a weakening of the regional entity as well. But this is a very critical issue. The integrity of the NFO is being questioned big time across the board because a lot of NFOs are fairly weak and not in a position to participate effectively at the national level. And therefore, they will be manipulated and sidelined. So I really want you to think about that while you seek ways to respond to Paulette's presentation. Thanks.
Yeah, Mitch, just to add to your contribution, and I could relate to what you're saying right now because if you look at the primary organization that I represent, we have seen an increased number of people who share the interest to be a member, but it's not everybody that will be accepted. I think a thorough vetting process should be undertaken because you have to look at characters, you have to look at players, a lot of aspects because a lot of people want to come into this thing to push their own agendas. And like I said to the management of the primary society that I am from, we have to be very, very careful who we let into the cooperative because if we look at succession plans and people who are going to be leaving and people who we're going to be electing in the near future, we have to be very mindful because the cooperative itself will falter because of people pushing their own agendas.
That is so true. And it leads me to wonder, even because what I'm seeing happening, even here in Jamaica, is that even to get a fishing license is one of the easiest license that you can acquire. You don't have to do a thing to get a fisherman's license. You don't have to spend 1 day out on the sea. You don't have to go out the field not even 1 day, but you have a fisherman license. And what it does, it disenfranchises the real fishers so badly because what the persons try to get a fisherman license to say they are a fisherman, that whenever time, if there are any benefits to come to fishers, they benefit as well. And so what they do, they have this license, and as soon as they hear that there's some grant given out, or there are something, some net or some wires being issued to fishermen, they come and they present their fisherman license. I'm a fisherman. And you can't tell them, say them can't get, because they have a license issued by the government, say they are fishers, and they have never spent one day at sea. They don't have a fish hook in the water, but yet they are fishers, and most of the time, 9 out of every 10 times, they benefit more than the real fisher. It's a real problem. And I don't know what they are gonna do to fix this, but it needs to be fixed. It needs to be fixed, because fishermen are very disenfranchised as it relates to that, because everybody manipulates the system. Everybody does it for their own individual benefits.
I think what they needs to do is just like how whenever you want to license your fishing boat, you have to show your fishing boat and they take a picture of it. I guess the NFA in Jamaica needs to put a strategy in place where whenever somebody applies for a fisherman license, he has to show his fishing gears.
Yes,
ma'am,
but
sorry,
but
hold on.
Nadine,
Hold on, ma'am. I could say that Nadine Earl, Miss Nadine Earl. If
yes.
you look at the process of getting a fisher license, we have to be cognizant of the fact that not all fishers are going to be boat owners, and the statistics prove that around the region that not all boat owners are fishers. So you cannot deny a fisher from obtaining a license if it doesn't produce a physical vessel.
No, I'm
Because
not saying, sorry, I'm not saying showing a vessel. I said show fishing gears. You have people who have fisherman license in Jamaica that doesn't own not even a fishing line. They are just there hanging on the beach, and whenever you come around to do fishing license, they get their license as well, saying they are
yes,
fishermen. They've never went to sea, they don't own a line, don't own a net, don't own a fish pot. So how
yeah,
can you be a fisherman?
ma'am, I believe all right. Just to state the claim, right? For example, when I'm licensing my vessel in St. Lucia, you know what happens? I have to register my crew. I believe that this is another way to go about it. But sometimes you still have fishers who are not assigned to any vessel. But when I do it, I have to register all my crew members.
Anybody else want to share? It's your opportunity to share. It's an interactive session.
I think Brent Brody and Nadine Earl unmuted earlier. Maybe they have something. Brent?
Nadine just spoke a while ago. Nadine Earl just spoke a while ago, Nadine.
Okay.
Yes, I also have experience. Like that was like about 30 years ago when I just started working with fishermen. Used to work with a project at the Discovery Bay Marina called Fishes Improvement Program. And I was in charge of going around on fishing beach collecting fishes data. And one of my main objectives was to get fishermen organized on all these 5 beaches I was working on. And that's how the Aloha Fishermen's Cooperative came about, because first we organized them and they were called the Aloha Fishermen's Association. And I can remember we have leadership there that they were so involved in everything that we were doing at Fishes Improvement until when we decided to get them organized. And I remember at one point we wrote proposal and we get funding to build a fisherman gear store there. And in that proposal, we did not ask for no cash for to pay salaries for anybody who was working, because at the time it was 40 members. And most of the members were fishermen, but with other skill areas. So we were saying that we just wanted the money to build the fisherman gear store, the building for the fisherman, but we won't be paying any salary. And back then, there was these two gentlemen who was in charge, well, now deceased. One was the chairman, one was the secretary. And I, at the time, very young in the thing, just 20-year-old, was the assistant secretary, because I was the one at the time have access to computers and all of that, who would type up everything, type up their letters, everything. And I can remember once we were having a meeting after they got some money, which was 500,000 at the time. Things wasn't that expensive like now to build that store. And as I mentioned before, there was no money to come out of it for salary. It was just to buy materials. And then the members promised they would come in and give a hand. Who don't have time, they will pay a tradesman for a day work or so to do their part. And as the assistant secretary, I remember when they give me the papers to type up the financials. And when I look, the chairman, he got out of that 500,000, he collected $165,000 for his salary as a contractor. And I question it. And then the secretary, he was a carpenter, and he collect 150,000, just 15,000 less than what the chairman collected for being the contractor for carpenter work. And being a youngster there, I asked the question, how comes you not collect so much money for contractor and carpenter, and I not even want board building, I want concrete building? And the response I get from them, trust me, that was the time when I decided, well, this thing not gonna work, because the person who is supposed to be leading and taking care of things and see to it that the money is spent properly for us to get a nice building, they take all the money for salary, and the little portion that left just built us a little building where probably if they never take so much money for salary, then we would have a bigger building. So that to tell that sometimes persons come as leaders, but they have another ulterior motives
own
behind
agenda.
being leaders. Yeah.
They come with their own agenda, and that's what we are.
Yeah.
That's what we are trying to say. We have to be careful. We have to be, as leaders, we have to be sensitive to these things, because persons will always join an organization for their own benefit, for their own ulterior
benefit.
motive benefit. Yes, that will always happen. You can't get away from that. But you, as the leader, will have to be so sensitive to these issues that you know how to deal with them when they come to the fore.
Yeah, and I refused to do that paperwork for them. And I can remember at the meeting, when they have the general meeting and they asked for the financial, the blame was all on me for not putting it together. But nobody mentioned why I did not put it together, because I was not going to type that, and I was not going to sign to it because I know it was wrong. And then I see it go on and go on until it things just come out into the light. At one point we have some money in the account, and one at the time when they come and check the account, there was no money.
So they're not good leaders at all. And it happens also in my local cooperative as well. The fishers have the fishermen have their money in the account, and because we do what we call you buy shares in the organizations, and whatever time you use the cooperative to buy stuff, then you are given an incentive. So persons' money keep adding up, and sometimes persons just bring a little extra and say, all right, put it on my account. And it came to a time when when persons try to withdraw or to come to get their portion of money, when they were told that there was no money there. The persons who were in charge, the leaders who were in charge, were also the accountants. They were doing everything, and so they manipulated the system, and they were the same ones that signed on the bank accounts. And when you take when the rubber meet the road, there was no money in the account. The gentleman drew out every dollar out of the account. The secretary said she did not know anything about it. She only signed on the checks when he comes to her to do that. But because he says an accountant, then she trusts him. And him draw out all of the money out of the account. A lot of money that belonged to the fishers was removed. They didn't get anything out of up to now. They don't get back none of their monies that were withdrawn. So when you have dishonest leaders, these things do happen.
That's why now you have to be careful who you choose as leaders.
Exactly. And as leaders ourselves, we have to have that in the back of the forefront of our head when we are doing deliberations, when we are choosing persons to put into specific positions. Because we know the thing about. Anybody else they want to share? How much time do we have, Nadine?
Devon Warner wants to share. We have,
Right.
I took some time with the technical, so let's put back some time. Go ahead, Devon.
Oh.
I want to ask a question, basically. I want to go back a little bit. I think it was one of the young ladies mentioned something about registering the fishers and anybody being able to acquire a fisherman's ID, a fisherman's registration, whatever. The question I want to ask us, and I want us, what do we do to represent ourselves as fishers to so as not to allow that situation to continue? Because for me, I think a fisherman should be just should be like a carpenter or somebody else. You're a specialist field, which means not anybody should be able to acquire a license to function as a fisher. What are we doing as organizations to represent ourselves to fisheries, to the government, to say, hey, you're diluting the industry by bringing all these people in who, as the young lady said, are disenfranchising fishers because the numbers are up, but the reality of the number of fishers are quite small. I mean, in most places than what we have registered, even here in Barbuda, because we find a lot of people they're registering, yes, because they might be able to acquire something duty free or so, and things like that. But I think we as a group of fishers in Montego and Barbuda, in our different countries, need to make representation to fisheries and to our governments, or to fisheries, to get to the government to tell them, look, this is ridiculous now. There are too much of us out there that are not fishers, but have a license or an ID or whatever. So I think we need to start making some form of representation, lobbying as a group or as individual organizations to ensure that we can manage whatever benefits fishers should enjoy, because I don't think there's a lot of fishers that are going out and registering to be a carpenter or a mechanic or licenses to be those. We stick to our trade. So I think it's important for us to lobby fisheries or whomever it is that are responsible for this, so we can manage our numbers, so we can maximize on the benefits as a group and build our organizations and ourselves, importantly, through a control system.
Mr. Warner, I can see if I tell you that is not because that is not happening here in Jamaica. The sentiments is echoed every single forum that fishers represent. This is being highlighted. But as we all know, how governments operate, they manipulate certain systems as long as they are getting what they are supposed to get. They don't care, they really don't care much. They don't I don't think government really care about fishers per se. It's just what they can achieve out of the industry. The fines that they imposing, and you have to be registered if you have sanctions and something. But they don't they really use fishermen. I really believe government really use the fishing industry for their own benefit.
May I interject for a minute?
Go ahead.
Are you hearing me?
Yes, I'm hearing you. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Mr. Go ahead, sir. We are hearing you. Mr. Warner, go ahead. I think we have lost him there. Anybody else want to jump in? Mr. Warner?
Hold on. I think I'm having some issues here. Let me see if I can start. You can hear me?
He might be back. Yes, we are hearing you.
Okay, so what I'm saying is, I think fishers are shortchanging themselves, and this is why our governments and different people don't pay the serious attention that they're supposed to pay to us. Let me tell you something. See, if across the Caribbean or any one of these Caribbean islands, the fishermen put down their tools tomorrow and say, "Look, we're not go fishing. We're closing down." I know a lot of us have imports and so on, but that local market that depends on us will make noise and they'll feel the effects. So we need to agitate to let the governments take us seriously. And that is one thing we haven't done. You imagine if the fishers were to launch a strike, a set out. What would happen to our food stability and all that? So I think we have a lot of powers, but we just sit back and we're the ones that are accepting what is being handed down to us by the government. We have to start taking action. And I'm talking to somebody who sits on a governmental agency, but I am a fisherman. And I have told my fishermen and them many times, I say, listen, if we have to lock down the place for a couple of days, we lock it down.
And
so fishermen must understand the powers that they have.
They need to understand, but how often you try to mobilize persons to do things like this, and you're not getting the masses to join. Persons are just sitting in the background and hoping that things will happen, but they are not participating. It have to be a united front. And in the fishing industry, we are so sloppy and disorganized that you will not get everybody to be buying into the same one idea at any one time. Persons are always on the offensive. Persons are always rejecting. When you come across, when you try to resisting. They say we are gonna do this, and they're always putting up resistance. Fishermen are very, very hard to deal with, and so you will always have challenges getting them. If you even call an ordinary little meeting, you're not getting the fishermen coming out. They don't have no time. They have to go to sea. They have to go and hustle. You cannot get them in a forum and say, come, this is what we're gonna do, and get full support. Fishermen are just sloppy and disorganized, most of them in the way how they operate. And that's why we can't reach anywhere, because it's always the converted few getting the information and sticking to it. But how far can we go if we don't have the force behind us to act?
I hear you. And it's a pity though. It's a pity though, because there's so much we could benefit if we could just, unite on these little simple things because basically everybody else can have a sit out and have done it. Garbage men have done it, this have done it, that have done it, and they benefit from it. So I think I don't know, we have to find a forum or a way to get fishers to understand that if we don't unite, not only to build our organizations, but unite to fight against what is being meted out to us by the governments and these organizations that are trying to basically kill our trade, for want of a better phrase. Um, we're just not going to get anywhere. And as much as we fight to develop the regional fisheries groups and all this thing to enhance the power of fishermen, we have to find a way to reach the fishers so they can understand that when we're called to order, we should fall in line. And I mean, sometimes you have to start with the fear. I remember Mitch used to tell me when I was trying to organize the Bobby the Fisherman's Association, Devon, if one fisherman you get, sit down and talk. Don't wait for 20. Use whatever numbers you have. So sometimes we use whatever numbers we have and we hope that people will fall in line. You understand? So it's a matter of using your numbers and maximizing on what you have.
All right. Point well taken. Anybody else?
Okay, good night, Winsworth here.
Go ahead, Winsford.
Well, I like this well, a very interesting topic, but what I see amongst therefore amongst the fishers and within the fishing organization in terms of registration for the for fisher. Most of the countries does not have something, I think, like in Dominica. I don't know if it's in Antigua, but I know for in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, it's about proper registration of fishers in terms of how a fisher folks obtain the fisherman ID card. And the other thing is that what we don't have is most of the fishers are not being part of the cooperative or the executive and being registered within the cooperative system, because then you could be registered with the cooperative, but you're not a registered fisherman. And you don't really get that much benefit when you're being registered. I see in Trinidad, they get like a 5% discount on them place when it's an official register fisher. But what has happened, I find most of the time, is that how there is no price control and fish around the region, your fisherman could sell the fish for anything. What the authority does is, and they don't really have no serious plan in terms of how they, within the region, to assist the fishers, because when you look at any major disaster, anything happen towards pandemic or anything, is the fisher folks has been put on the something in some corner. Whenever they think about it, you might get something. There is not really so much need assistance given to the fisher folks when the fisher folks really need the assistance. So what the government do is go to 2-3 persons and cause division amongst the fisher folks. Make the fishers costs amongst themselves. It's just like the vendors. It's just like somebody in a cooperative, they cause division because they know that the fisher, some of you work, get paid soon as you come from half a sea, the money share. So it come like the interest is not there too much more than when you feel the effect. So it is very hard, even though I hear you saying that, oh, we call for stakeout. Even if we call for stakeout, some will still go because of the division amongst us. So within our fishing cooperative around the region, we now have to find a way within our cooperative. How do we set up a fund? So if we encouraging the fisher folks to hold a big demonstration within the organization, if we can say, all right, then from these funds we could contribute and pay for 2 days. So if you ain't go out, we will be paying for this 2 days. But we now have to see how we can set up something within the fishing organization that we could give back to the fisher if we want to have a holdout. And we have to encourage the fisher to be a part of the organization. And then in some part of the region, some people who have nothing to do with fishing, as what you mentioned, have fisherman ID card, have certain privilege to get. And the other thing is that some of the subsidies that been offered from the authorities is that it only offered up to the boat owner how much fisher folks will be benefiting from duty free when you go to buy something in a tackle shop or something. So we have to find ways within the fishing cooperative and start to promote the fishing cooperative and them, like one of these big credit union, make the cooperative and them more operate as business cooperative and not only just a capacity building and information sharing and thing. So we have to find ways to see how we can promote cooperative to move in the business direction that the fisher folks can benefit from. Thank you. That's just my intake on the conversation.
Thank you very much, Winsbert. Anybody else? Nadine, I think that's it for tonight.
Thank you, Mrs. Coley, for facilitating tonight's session with such enthusiasm and having participation from members. We're going to end this session now, and we will see you back next week, Tuesday, same time, same place, with facilitator, chairperson, Devon Stephen from St. Lucia, the current CNFO chair. Mr. Devon will be facilitating. Goodbye.